Hey guys, Gina here, and in this week's video I'm going to be going on a blind date with a book. 2 books to be exact. I saw this concept at Christmas time and thought it was quite cute. The idea is you buy a book wrapped in paper, you have no idea what's inside. Usually you get to pick the book genre or the general length or something so that you know kind of or have a little idea of what's going to be inside, but usually not much, and then you just unwrap it and away you go. This works really well for people who want to get a gift for a book lover and you have no idea what kind of books they have on their shelf. You only know the kind of books that they like. Or just somebody who wants to get a gift for a friend and doesn't want to be blamed if the book is rubbish, because this essentially takes the blame away from you. I bought 2 blind date with a books from Etsy sellers. My local bookstore does do blind date with a book, but on this occasion I wanted to get secondhand books, and these particular Etsy sellers do exactly that. Okay, so from Paragon Gifts I got a fantasy/sci-fi book, and then from the Hidden Library Co I got a short read and a blackcurrant and blueberry tea and a lotus biscuit. So let's get to opening them. Okay, I'm going to start with Paragon Gifts because the packaging for this one is really cute, but before I do, I'm going to put the link to both Etsy sellers in the description below so you can check them out if you want to. They're UK stores, but they might deliver further. Okay, so first of all, I got this cute little card, I guess, with it. Adopt a book. Though I have been read before, my story is still here. As long as I'm read one more time, I will not disappear. And then we've got a little paperclip bookmark, which is quite cute. And then on the front, I'll show a close-up. It's got a little kind of wax seal mark on it. And then it says, "One day you will be old enough to start reading fairy tales again." So let's get this open. Okay. Okay, this is called Super Sad True Love Story. In a very near future, a functionally illiterate America is about to collapse, but no one's told Lenny Abramov. He's still turning up to work at Post-Human Services, attempting to provide immortality for its super-rich clientele. He's also wooing the impossibly cute Eunice Park, just graduated with a major in images and a minor in assertiveness. When riots break out in New York and Chinese creditors look ready to foreclose on the world's country, Lenny must convince his fickle new love that in time without standards or stability, there is still value in being a real human being. Wildly funny, lyrical, and humane, written by a writer at the dazzling peak of his powers, Super Sad True Love Story is a deliciously dark, edgy elegy and a tale of America's coming years. Okay, so this looks like a potentially dystopian sci-fi book, which will be interesting because I usually read fantasy and I haven't read sci-fi in quite a while. So this could be really interesting to see if I enjoy it. And this book is actually in really good condition. I don't see, there's yellowing on the sides, but other than that, the book is in really good condition. So that'll be really interesting. Oh, and there's a little bookmark inside. Okay, let's open the second one. So as I said, this one came with some tea and a biscuit. Let's get it open. So this one is the short read. Okay, this is called Private Peaceful, shortlisted for the Whitbread Award. Okay. A stunning novel of the First World War. They've gone now and I'm alone at last. I have the whole night ahead of me and I won't waste a single moment of it. I want tonight to be long as my life. As young Thomas Peaceful looks back over his childhood from the battlefields of the First World War, his memories are full of family life deep in the countryside. But the clock is ticking, and every moment Tomo spends remembering how things used to be means another moment closer to something which will change his life forever. Okay, this looks really interesting, and this looks like the actual cover itself, while it's got some nice printing on it, it actually doesn't look that good quality. So I wonder when it was printed. 2003. Okay. So this one will be interesting because I am not a fan of war. So it'll be really interesting to read a book on war, essentially. Michael Morpurgo, 2003 to 2005 children's literature. Presume that means he's won an award in children's literature, but this isn't that. So we'll see what this is like. I'm quite looking forward to reading it just because it will be interesting. Just flicking through, I've noticed a few pages that have been folded down like triangles in the corner. So that's either where they got to or maybe a particularly interesting point in the book. So this will be really interesting. So I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to start with the sci-fi and end on war. You never know, they might actually work really well together. So I'm going to get to reading. Okay, it's roughly a week later and I'm done with reading both books, so let's get into my thoughts, starting with Super Sad True Love Story. The premise of this book is that America, and likely the world, is on the brink of financial and societal collapse. We follow Lenny Abramov as he's working for a company that prolongs the life of the rich and famous. We follow him as he takes an extended holiday/work thing in Rome, where he's trying to recruit said famous and rich people to his company and fails miserably. On this trip, he meets Eunice Park, who is, I quote, an impossibly cute and impossibly cruel 24-year-old Korean American woman. He starts to fall for Eunice and falls into some kind of fickle love thing with her and then stalks her, all while the world is collapsing and he's demoted from his job. Sounds like it could be funny, right? Well, that's the point of this book, but it fails miserably. The main character is stalkerish, creepy, self-centered, and casually racist. He's the most awful character I have ever read, and it makes it really hard to get into the book because it's from his perspective. The way this is written feels as though the author has channeled himself through the main character of this book, which makes it incredibly hard to read because he's constantly judging everything he comes across and sees himself as above it all. There's a way to write an insufferable character into your book without making it unbearable to read, and that's to do it from a different perspective, because we need balance in these kinds of books, and this just doesn't give it. Let me give you some examples of the way that this character judges other people, and let me tell you, this character judges absolutely everyone they come across. About 9 guys wearing grimy camouflage fatigues in their 30s mostly, too old to serve in Venezuela, I guess. And then my darling Kelly Nardle, a supple, low-slung girl my age whom I would be terminally attracted to if I could just stand to spend my whole life within 3 meters of her non-odorized animal scent. These 2 examples only scratch the surface. Lenny's thoughts are so incredibly hard to read and infuriating that it makes you want to chuck the book across the room. Plus, the book is very hard to read because it constantly jumps around and doesn't know what it wants to be. 1 minute it's a diary, the next minute it's in the present day, the next minute we're reading emails and text messages and more. It's very hard to keep a grip on the story when the constantly changing perspective and medium in which it's trying to tell the story itself. I got this far into the book and I couldn't stomach another minute of it. I don't even know where the story went. I just hope that Eunice Park gets far away from Lenny, although reading the Goodreads reviews, I don't think she does. Okay, moving on, and the next book I read from this Blind Date with a Book challenge was Private Peaceful, and this one I was really not looking forward to. This book tells the story of Charlie and Tomo Peaceful, who are young boys growing up in England just before the First World War. It tells the story of them battling the politics of their village and finding love until they're enlisted into the actual battlefields of the First World War. Let me be clear before I get started. I wasn't looking forward to reading this book because I don't like the institution of war, so reading a book about it just didn't appeal to me. But that's one of the great things about something like Blind Date with a Book, is that it pushes you out of your comfort zone and gets you to read something you might not have read otherwise. Back to the book. I was pleasantly surprised. The book is about 50% childhood and 50% war, and because it's so short, it doesn't linger around on things when it doesn't need to. It tells you what you need to know and then it moves you on quickly, which I really like. Come the end, I felt completely differently than I did at the beginning, and that's because this book has a purpose, and one I won't spoil for you, but the end purpose I actually really liked. So I felt completely differently about this book when I'd finished it, which makes it a really good contender for rereading and probably explains the reason why in schools it's so popular to use as reading material, because it has a message. Each character within the book is both believable and relatable and honestly realistic, so it makes you wonder what has happened to them by the end of the book. Plus, because it was so short and impactful, it felt like I was reading a film, which can only be a good thing. So, all in all, I'm really pleased that I read this book, even if the subject matter wasn't something that I was actually interested in. So if the subject matter is something you are definitely interested in, then Private Peaceful is a book you definitely should be reading. So there we have it, 2 completely unexpected books for my blind dates, and honestly, when I first purchased these books, I thought I was going to be getting something that I would at least recognise. But I guess that's the point. You want something that's going to jump you out of your comfort zone and get you to read something new. That wouldn't have happened if I'd already knew what the book was, because I would have looked up reviews and I would have recognised whether people liked it or not. These definitely jumped me out of my comfort zone, regardless of the quality of them. But I want to know from you, have you read either of these books yourself? If so, what did you think? Leave me a comment below. Or are you thinking of trying blind date with a book yourself? I would love to know, so leave me a comment. And I'll see you next Thursday for another video.